don't need a high-end designer or a lot of money to get a luxe look. Be your own interior designer.
This is Affordable Interior Design, the podcast.
Here's your host, Betsy Helmuth.
My next question comes from Rana. Rana writes, "Hi, Betsy. I've been feverishly listening to your podcast since recently being introduced to them by my daughter-in-law. Thank you for all your helpful info. I'm excited to go through our house and start implementing all the things I've been learning and to start correcting my many design mistakes now that I realize that I've made them. I want to start with our family room, which is in desperate need of new furniture. It needs paint, lamps, colorful artwork. I'm having a hard time envisioning other furniture in this room. I hope that you may see it from a different perspective and have some recommendations for me. The artwork is the most intimidating component to me, and I also don't know what to do about the windows. The room is almost 20 feet by 20 feet with 10 feet high ceilings, wide baseboards, and crown molding. I'm attaching pictures of the room for several angles, as well as a picture of the outside of our house, so you can get a general idea of the style. I know I need an inspiration piece for this room, and I've considered the throw blanket in the picture as the inspiration because I like the colors. But I'm quite sure that I should find artwork first instead. The wall above the sectional is large. Should I look for one big piece or do a grouping of something? And if so, what? All right, Rhonda. Well, thanks for writing in and thanks for your pictures. Now, as you guys know, for many years, you've had to rely on my descriptions of things to fully visualize the questions and the pictures that have been coming into me. But now I have, at long last, created a YouTube channel. So for the podcast, I'm very excited to announce that as of June, we not only have a YouTube channel where you can go to see a video of me recording my podcast, we also are going to be sharing the pictures that have come in so that way you can visualize the problems. And I have an Instagram now, a Facebook, what else? Instagram, Facebook. Oh, and a show notes section. So many of you have written me and said, Betsy, I want to read the tips as well as listen to them. So now I have show notes. And you're asking yourself, where can I find all this goodness? Where can I subscribe so I can see the pictures of Rana's space? And I will tell you, you can go to affordableinteriordesign.com/links. Once again, that's affordableinteriordesign.com/links. And there you'll find a link to each platform that I described. You can click on it and subscribe. And so you can be listening and watching me in many different forms now. Very exciting news. All right, Rana, let's talk about it. So you were wondering about artwork first and foremost. And looking in the room, for those of you still just listening, it is a little bit dark in here. You do have light colored wall-to-wall carpeting, which helps, but you have a dark sort of brown sectional, an espresso or deep brown entertainment unit. You have beige walls that are maybe a mid-tone, and then you have wood trim throughout. And so it does make it feel a little bit darker in here. You also have a dark colored bookcase, a wood colored cabinet. There's lots of components that make it feel a little bit heavy in here. So one thing that I would think about when creating an inspiration piece or determining where you kind of start with an inspiration piece, you're on the right track with thinking about a large piece of art, but you already have a really nice and perfectly sized large piece of art above your brown sectional sofa with this world map. It's a triptych, which means that there's 3 pieces. It's blue and cream and nice and high, which really accentuates the height of the ceilings. If anything, it's hung a little bit low because from the top of the sofa cushion to the bottom of the art, I typically like between 8 and 12 inches. So this maybe has 4 at max and feels a little bit tight in relationship to the sofa. But I think it's perfect. I would not be thinking about the artwork as something to change when looking for an inspiration piece. Also, inspiration pieces have 3 colors or more. Right now, one of the concerns I have with this room is that it's really just the brown and blue room. So, even looking at this throw blanket, which has these sort of floral mandalas that feature different shades of blue, from navy to cornflower blue to light blue, it strikes me that it's just a blue throw with a white background. And that is not an inspiration piece. An inspiration piece has 3 colors or more. And it's the thing that you use that's prominently placed always that you've derived the colors from the room from. So with the throw blanket, sometimes it's folded up and it's quite small. Sometimes if it's in my living room, it's thrown in a basket. So I would not typically use a throw blanket as an inspiration piece. I would use a piece of art. I would use an area rug, which you don't need because it's got wall-to-wall carpeting. I may use prominently placed large pillows. And I do think that these pillows could use some swapping out because you have 2 sets of the same sorts of pillows. So that's 4 identical pillows, which is not only a lot of the same pattern and color, but it also looks like you didn't really use your imagination, right? You just said, I'll have 2 sets of 2. You made it easy and you got out. So you lost an opportunity for an introduction of a new color, pattern, or texture. The other place I often go to when I'm looking for an inspiration piece are the drapes. And you have these nice high windows that are untreated. And so, really, everything 3 feet high and above in your room is brown, from the paint to the trim to the entertainment unit to the bookcase. And everything 3 feet high and below is where you find your color. I think if we're looking at the room holistically, thinking of balance, what is missing where, I think color is missing from the upper part of your room. And so I would be looking to those drapes to be the inspiration piece. So I'd bring in long drapes that span from on top of the frame of the window all the way down to the floor. And then I would be looking for them to have a pattern. I would be looking for them to have more than just blue going on, right? We do need to add in at least 1 color. Whenever I have a cool tone that's a part of the color palette, I don't want it to become the cool room. So I might avoid doing something like a green or even an icy purple because that's not going to give us that balance. We need a warm tone in here. And certainly the foundation of brown neutrals is helping with that, right? If you would have picked gray neutrals, well, we'd have a whole nother problem in our hands. But I think maybe bringing in a warmer tone with, say, a yellow or even an orange could be a really nice way to make this room feel even cozier. I'm avoiding reds because red and blue can feel a little 4th of July, and we don't want to do anything too literal in terms of evoking a certain color palette because we've got strong whites, strong blues, and if I add red to that, it is going to scream Americana, right? So I'm thinking that these would be the directions I'd be going in, and these would be the ideas I'd be thinking about as a designer looking at this room. Rana, I hope that gave you some inspiration. I hope that gives you something to look for as you're shopping, and I'm glad that you are enjoying the podcast. A big thank you to our amazing producer, Catherine Heller, to Aton and the MCR House Band, and to Affordable Interior Design, the sponsor of this podcast and the premier place to get an amazing look on a budget. Check out affordableinteriordesign.com. If you guys love the show, the very best way to support us is by spreading the word. Tell your friends or write us an awesome review on iTunes. So until next week, guys, thanks so much for joining us, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.